Hello everyone, and welcome to a scrapbook layout process video where today I'm going to create a double page spread using just 3 sheets of this 6x6 gloriously colourful, full of life paper. I absolutely love this stack of paper and it is so bright and wonderful. You get 4 sheets of each pattern. I'm just going to flip through this one so you can have a look. So you get 4 sheets of each pattern as I rotate them to show you that they are all the same. And if you don't want to use this geometric style pattern, you just flip it over and you get this great design on the other side. Now, each is obviously different, but it goes along the same theme. You get a geometric design on one side, 4 sheets, and you get an ombre or a wash type pattern on the other. I'm just going to do a little flip through this stack so you can have a quick look at what it looks like. It's absolutely beautiful. I have been wanting a paper pack like this for a while, and 6x6 is a lot of fun to work with. I know that a lot of our scrapbook as 12x12, but 6x6 papers can definitely be used on a 12x12 inch layout, and I am working on something with these very papers that will be coming very soon, and it's going to be a scrapbook guide. You get 48 sheets in this pack, so you don't have to use them all in one go. You can make cards, and I've got some cards to show you as well. And I've picked 3 of these out because I've actually made cards from one of the sheets. So I'm going to use these 3 on this scrapbook layout, and I'm actually scrap lifting myself from back in October last year, and I thought it would be fun to recreate and use this paper. Now, if you want coordinating cardstock with this, you can look at it in the catalogue, and there is always a list. I'm not going to read this out here because there are a lot of colours obviously that coordinate with this pack. It's basically a whole spectrum of colours, and I just can't stop flipping through like this. It just makes me so happy to see all these gorgeous papers. Now, the layout that I did, I'll put a picture up here so that you can see it, but what I did with these 3 pieces of paper was trim them out so that I could create a chevron style on the left hand side. Now, the process video from back in October shows all of this, but I wanted to show you how easy it was and to make sure that when you do something like this, you are mindful of the pattern so that these, if you want them to run the same way, are all going to run the same way. So I am basically cutting up to create an L shape, and I'm doing it 1 1/4 inches in from the edge, 1 1/4 inches down. And I only want 2 cuts. I haven't quite gone all the way through. So I'm just going to snip that off because I want one of these to be a chevron piece, and I'm going to have this side coming out like this. I'm going to do exactly the same thing with this one, and I want this part here to be the point that goes in. So I'm going to go 1 1/4 inches down from this side, but when there's a directional pattern, you want to make sure that you get it right if that's what you're aiming for. So 1 1/4. I'm going up to the 1 1/4 mark here. And I've got that one. So I've got 2 chevrons, but this is going to be my 3rd piece, but I don't want to cut it into a chevron. So I'm going to line these up and cut point to point so that I get a triangle. And sometimes when you do this, if you start from here, you can snag the edge of this bit of paper here and it will make a little bit of a mark. So what I can do is actually line this up with my wire here, go from the middle and go down again rather than trying to do it from the top edge or the bottom edge. So this is going all the way across. I have another example to show you for this, where I have done it with black as the base and white as the big mat, but I wanted to reverse it. We're doing this at a workshop very soon and also a consultant day, so I wanted to give 2 different versions of how they could create this. So you can see I cut the remaining triangle into half, so I've got 2 triangles here. So I can put my trimmer away, and I'm just going to move these over to the edge, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep these 4 3/4 inches. Yes, 4 3/4 inch pieces. And I'm going to bring in my black journaling pen, and all the pieces I'm going to give a black line around, all the way around each piece. Doesn't matter if you go a little bit wobbly. This is a fun geometric and almost like a watercolor look. So if you go a bit wider in one section, it doesn't really matter. It's just giving definition to all of these pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that for all of these cuts here. And then I'll be back to do a little bit of assembly, and I'm going to bring in this Friends for Life stamp set, and that's available in a bundle as well. I'm going to be using the die cuts. I haven't used all the die cuts from the set. You can see this here, but I'm using all of these, and I like putting them on a magnet sheet even at home because sometimes I lose the pieces. So I don't want to do that while I'm putting things together. And I have gone ahead and I've pre-cut all the pieces I want, and I suggest if you do something like this and there's a lot of die cutting, to have a little dish where you can put everything in, because there is a tittle for the eye, the little dot for the eye in here somewhere, and I don't want to lose that. So I'm just going to keep doing my lines, and then I'll be back to show you the assembly. I have all my L's, my triangles, and my square pieces all outlined, and I'm going to start with this triangle piece for the right side, and I like using a dot roller for this, especially on top of my all-purpose mat, because it means I can run over the edges of these points and have adhesive there and know that they're not going to lift up. And I have gutted out the inside of my white piece here because I've used it for the die cuts and also for some mats. So what I'm going to do with this one is start this one off on the black edge. I'm leaving the white edge there, and I'm doing it so that it's centered. So that gets adhered down, and then I can adhere this piece here. And that comes in next. As I said before, I don't usually work on a black page, so I have a sample to show you at the end of the video that has it with the reverse way where the white is this panel, but I think this is going to look absolutely gorgeous. I'm just going to build up the right page first, and then I'll move on to the left page. I've got some instructions off to the side here because the girls are all going to get the instructions. And I have a 6x4 photo mat here that is going to be about 1 inch in and 3 inches down. So the chevrons will all point in towards this photo. So that's the right page done as far as the base layer. It comes together very quickly, but I love the addition of all of these elements here that we're going to do some stamping on some and adhere some direct to the layout. So for the left page, what I want to do is construct the piece that is going on here before I adhere it. Normally I build up on top of the layout. So I've got a piece of white daisy here so I can attach these. Now I'm trying to work out if I want the pinks against the pinks to act sort of like an ombre, or if I want to give it a little bit of distinction between the pink by having the pinks here and the yellow. And I think I like the ombre look the best. So I'm just going to adhere that down. And then I have a panel that my photos are going to sit on, and that's going to go over top like this. Now this will have 3 3x3 photos on it, and I think what I need to do is cut some black here to make the 3x3 mats, and then I'll trim my photo down. So I'll just take these away, and I'm going to adhere down these 3x3 inch mats. And then I'm going to dovetail this piece here, just a shallow dovetail. I don't want to make it too peaked, so I want a little bit of white space between this. So I'll just cut up the center, and then I can cut into each section. And then I'm going to adhere this to the panel. So building this up is going to make it easier to then take it over and adhere it. So now I have my 2 triangles left, and I'm going to have one here and reverse the other one and have that down the bottom here. And I'm just trying to work out if I want the yellow at the top and the pink at the bottom. And I think that works really well. So I need to do some more lines on this one. And then I'm just going to put some adhesive in this corner here and this corner here. I'm going to line that up and adhere that down, and then do the same for this section here, leaving roughly the same amount of room. And then I can pick this up and adhere this directly onto my page. I am being fairly generous with my tape runner here because this is quite a heavy sort of panel, and I don't want it to come off. So now I'm just going to use my Versamat to help me line this up and center it. So the center points I'm looking at are this white panel here. So I know that I can come down from here about 1/4 of an inch and lay that down. And before I press it down, I'm going to get my T-ruler here to make sure that I've got everything all nice and straight. I'm going to do it with this piece here, and it looks like I've got everything sitting beautifully. So now I can bring in my right page, and I love how dramatic this looks on the black. So I'm going to trim these down and put them on so that you've got the visual, and then I'm going to come back with how to stamp, especially the little hearts. I'm going to adhere my title together. So this will just sit beautifully on top of here. Now you can use a dot roller or you can use liquid glue, whatever you're more comfortable with. And there you can see a little top of my eye there, my dot that I'm not losing. So I highly recommend having something like this on your work surface so that you can put all these tiny bits and you don't lose them. The stamping that I'm going to do is this leaf here and also the hearts. And the hearts themselves are actually one stamp together. So you get the 2 hearts that you can stamp at the same time. So I'm just going to put this on my block so that I'm ready to go. I have used these before, but I am going to stamp off to make sure that I'm getting a good image. The first one that I'm going to do are these leaves, and you do need to get your head all the way over. Normally I stamp first and then die cut. So I'm just going to make sure this is flat. I get my head right over and stamp down. So you can see how well they show up on the white. So I just need to do these remaining 2. I've got the piece where I cut these from, and I'm going to get one of the hearts and put it in here. So I'm refitting it, and then I'm getting a smaller one, and I've got 3 lots of these, I think, or 2 lots of these that I'm going to use. So now I just need to ink this up. I'm going to just do a little test, stamping beautifully. And I will have to edit getting my head out of the way, but you can see by putting them back in there, inlaying them back in here, I'm able to line this up so that I can get the stamps exactly where they need to go. So that's just a little trick that makes it a little bit easier. But as you can see, the dies join together. There's no stamp image for the really small hearts, but this dies join together. So this trick will help you get these images stamped almost near perfect. So that has worked out really well. I'm really happy with that. I'm not usually, as I said before, I'm not usually someone who die cuts and then stamps things. So I'm very happy with how that has turned out. I'm going to put all of these back in the little dish here so I can start placing them onto my layout. Look how gorgeous that looks with the friend here in the black. It's so nice and fine, and it just sits perfectly on that outline piece. Bring this over. You could put a 5x7 photo here. You could put 2 6x4 photos here if you wanted to. So I'm just going to position these elements here. I think I'm going to tuck this one up here. This is the one that I didn't quite get the stamping right on. And I've cut these larger leaves in white so that they stand out against the black. And what I might do is layer this over top, and then you can't really see my mismatched stamping there. I've got another one of these that I'm going to put over this side, I think. So this one's going to come out along here, and this one is going to come down like this. And now with the heart, I haven't used the inside piece, so it doesn't cut all the way around the outside, but you can double cut this in one go so that you get an outline of a heart, the inside of the heart, and these pieces are cut away from it. But I wanted to use the solid piece that is remaining as my journal spot. So that is going to go around like this. I really love how delicate this is. So I'm going to put that over here, and when I adhere this, I'm not going to put adhesive over where it is going over top of the photo. I've got another leaf element that I'm going to have coming out from behind here, and I really love how this is looking on the black. And then I've got these little hearts that I'm going to scatter around. So I've got 2 large ones. I might tuck one in over here. And I've got some small ones as well. Put one over here. And then I want to introduce some of these stamped elements onto this panel. And then I've got some small ones here that I'm going to scatter around. So I've got most of this adhered down. I'm having to put a block over top so things are adhering. But when it comes to putting this on, because I'm using this black heart, I can use it as a little bit of a guide and just put my glue around the outside edge of it. Now, this glue does dry clear, so It doesn't matter if you get it a little bit out from where you're wanting to put it. And you notice I didn't put any glue onto this section here. So I'm just pushing that up against this heart here and then grab my block and put that down before it moves around too much. And then I'm just going to tuck a little bit of glue underneath these pieces here. I've got most of the embellishments all adhered now. I just want to show you a little trick for putting the smaller hearts down, because you can use this little pick tool and pick them up very easily and just put the glue direct onto your project so that you don't have to reposition them again. They're a little bit awkward sometimes to put dot roller and stuff on. You can, of course, use tweezers and glue, but I just find this just so much quicker to do. I'm just going to lift up my page. I knew I'd forgotten one. I'm not sure if the pickup tool, oh yes, it does work on these larger ones, so that's handy. I know the old pickup tool that I used to use from close to my heart, that worked really well, so I'm really pleased that this one does the same job. And then I'm going to bring in these Glossy Dots assortment. I was just going to put little silver ones on here, but I'm finding that these work really well with some of these pattern papers. My only wish is that they had a blue on here as well. But I think these pink and yellow ones are going to work extremely well onto the black paper. Okay, so now for the show and tell. I love how this has come out. Those dots look fabulous on the black, and it's such a dramatic look. And a white gel pen or a silver pen will work really well on this little element here that's for the journaling. So let's bring in the other version. So you can see it's exactly the same layout, but it's a totally different look. I've used a different pattern paper here and it gives you a totally different effect. The sun ray actually worked really well. I wasn't too sure how that would work cutting it into a chevron piece, but it looks fabulous with this end result here pointing in towards the photo. So I really love the two different effects. They're both dramatic style pages. I know a lot of people who love to scrapbook on black, so I wanted to show a different version and how cool it can look. Just swapping around the base layers and the cuts. And the heart, I just reversed that as well. And I also reversed how the friend is on this one so that the white outline was up against the black. And this one, of course, the black outline is up against the white, so it's easy to read. Let me know in the comments below which you prefer. Do you like the white style here or do you like the black style? I think they're both fabulous. I like how they both look. All right, now I'm going to bring in the cards. So I just used 3 sheets of that 6x6 pattern paper to make the double page spread. Using the 4th pattern piece, so this is reversed, so using the 4th pattern piece of this 6x6 paper, let's put this off to the side, I have created 3 cards. So these are the note cards. So these are 2 3x4 note cards and then a 4x6 card. Now, if you're used to close to my heart card bases, we had the A2 size, which was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But you can buy a multi-pack from Stampin' Up that has a 6x4 card base and a 3x4 card base. It's a pack of 10 of each and they come with envelopes. So I thought I would create the cards using that size. Now all I have left over, I know I like doing this when I've got a scrapbook workshop guide or a card workshop guide and I try to use everything, but all I've got left over from the 4 sheets of this paper, this pattern paper, and here as well, that was 1 sheet, are these 2 little items here. So I think that's a pretty good use of the pattern paper. And I've got alternate cards to show you where I have used the 4th piece of pattern paper from this one here with this pink wash and these watercolor strips. So using that, I've basically just cut that in half and created 2 6x4 cards. This one I've trimmed off the edge and hung the heart over the edge here just for a little bit of an extra effect. But you can see how cool this heart looks when you cut away this little part from the inside here. When you actually die cut this, this part in the middle stays onto the part that you're die cutting, so you do need to trim that little bit out. But I love how that looks and it's such a fun, happy paper and great for friendship cards. These can be for birthdays. Anytime we buy a gift and we want to put a little tag on it or just a little gift card on it, this 3x4 size is going to come in handy so much. So they're the layouts and the cards that I've made today. You can see what a difference it makes just by doing black paper. Gives you such a dramatic look to it, or a nice clean white space one here with the white background. As always, I'll have links to everything that I've used in the description below. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. As always, happy crafting and bye for now.